Captain's log 09/03/26. Today I want to talk about your role as a journeyman and a leader in the trades, and hopefully the audio is okay. I am currently in my valve room, actually, for the job site I'm at. It's a little noisy. I'll see if you can see some of this. The pump and all my valves lined up. Anyways, so one of the things guys tend to maybe forget or get wrong about their job description is their role as a leader and a teacher. When you become a journeyman, you obviously still have to learn stuff. You still have to run your job. You still have to do your work, but you're also expected to train the apprentices and the new generation of journeymen. So your focus gets split into those zones. You still have to do your work. You still have to organize your site. Maybe you're running a site. Maybe you're not. But at the same time, no matter what your position is, you still have to train the apprentices. So got some air blowing there. So when you look at your job, basically you're trying to train the person underneath you to take over your job. And guys get a little freaked out by that because the whole job security thing. Well, if the apprentice can do this, then they're cheaper. They can pay them less money and do the same work. But it doesn't really work out that way. Firstly, there's laws that protect you against that. And secondly, you should be looking at the next step for yourself. So by that, I mean, everything is in stages. You start out as the new guy and you don't really know anything. You're learning to do the basics. You're learning what the material is. And then you move up from there in your apprenticeship, doing more and more stuff, learning more and more stuff. And even apprentices, you kind of have to teach the guy underneath you, hey, this is what the material is. And then you can basically let them handle that, and you can look to the things that you're supposed to be learning. And the same thing with a journeyman. Your apprentices will come in. You're teaching them all the ins and outs, and eventually they can handle stuff. You don't have to be babysitting them, and you can look to the next step for yourself, whether that be a foreman, trying to run sites, running larger sites, learning other skills, moving up to project management, etc., etc. Some guys like myself will try their hand at business, and again, that's not for everyone, and you don't have to take these positions, but you should still be striving to learn more and teach the guys underneath you. These are all basic leadership concepts, but it also affects how your output of work is affected. So, like, by that I mean, if you have a certain amount of guys working under you, and if you're getting them to do basic work, that's fine, and those things still need to be done. But if you can push responsibility, more and more responsibility onto your subordinates, onto your apprentices, onto whoever, then that opens you up to look at the broad picture. And A, you catch things you wouldn't have caught before. B, you can organize. And C, you have a whole group of guys who are capable at doing the work. So your production output triples. once you have guys that can actually handle the stuff themselves and that can be self-sufficient in that way, now all of you can work on the stuff. And hey, I don't have to go and babysit this person. I don't have to find some, whatever task for them. I've taught them what they need to know. They know how to do the work. Now I can step back, let them handle this, and your output just triples. So that's another benefit, obviously, of teaching them. But it's also your job. So when you become a journeyman, you're required to teach the new guys. That's kind of the point. That's kind of the idea behind all this. They took the time and taught you. You now need to take the time and teach the next guy. And it's, it's kind of the unwritten rule of all this. And it shows, like, guys who are good at teaching, again, like, the output on their site is always high because guys come in and they learn a lot. And you should be proud of that. You should have a little bit of pride in how well you teach the next generation, how well the guys learn from you. And maybe they're not at your site the whole time. Maybe they get sent off after a little while, and you think, oh, that sucks, like, I just spent all this time teaching them. But you should have some pride in, hey, they're going to go to the next site and these guys are going to be impressed by their work, and maybe they're going to say, hey, where'd you learn that? And hopefully you get some recognition for that. Not that it's about recognition, but so these are like basic concepts of what it means to be a journeyman. And then, obviously basic leadership concepts matter too. And I know, like, Jocko Willing talks a lot about this stuff. And it rings true. It rings very true in our line of work. Obviously with him in the military, that's where he learned it from, but you'll learn the same idea, the same concepts, any leadership position that you're in. And there's all kinds of things from that, like, again, pushing responsibility, decentralizing things as much as you can. The more that your guys know, the easier it is to organize things. Pushing praise if you can, like, you can't just push the responsibility without pushing praise. Try to let your guys know, like, hey, you guys did this. You guys, this isn't me and my effort. This is our effort. We all did this, and that's when you think about motivating the guys, that's huge. A lot of that goes a lot further. A little bit of praise goes a lot further than being on these guys and being a dick the whole time. So you got to think of those things. And yeah, that's basically it. I mean, there's a lot of small things you can do, and details in that in your own trade, and what you think is important to teach the guys, and the standard procedures that you think will go the furthest for them. So, like, whether you want to teach them the fittings and the material, or whether you want to teach them, whatever. I usually have some stuff set up. If I know I'm getting new guys, I know I need, okay, well, I'm going to have stuff that has to be moved around. I need to see, like, hey, what are these guys like? Move some material, move some pipe, whatever. And, there's even lessons in little things like that, like simple things like that. Something as simple as carrying a piece of pipe even has a lesson, because a lot of guys jump into the trades, they don't even know how to pick up pipe. And I mean, I'm a big guy, so I'm carrying sometimes 6-inch, 21-foot lengths of 6-inch by myself. But there's a skill to that. It's not all strength. There's a huge skill to doing all this stuff, and you don't think of it when you've done it so much. But the young guys, they won't know that right off the hop, and they need to learn. And it's good to have those learning opportunities and teaching opportunities so that they become competent and confident about what they're doing, and you can kind of see where they're at, see how they learn, see how they react when there's tough jobs to do, like moving stuff. It's not always easiest, and it's definitely not the most glorious job. And you just move up from there, and you can always take back a little bit of responsibility, right? Like if you give somebody a little bit too much responsibility, maybe they screw something up and you have to rein it back in a little bit. That's okay. And it's not the end of the world. You just pick up the pieces and, hey, okay, that was a little bit too much. Like next time we're not gonna go quite as far. But you just, okay, what did we screw up there? What do we need to learn? You teach them that, and then give them a little bit responsibility again. And you can keep doing that until guys get competent at what they're doing. And there's going to be accidents, there's going to be mistakes, but I guarantee you did the same frickin' mistakes when you were an apprentice, just like I did, just like anybody does. So you have to have you have to think about that when you're teaching guys. Like not everybody's going to know what's up right away, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to get there quick or not going to get there at all. And there's some guys that really never get it, and there's some guys that they might seem like a lost cause. And again, you just got to rein in some of the responsibility then, and be honest about where they're at, and tell them, and be honest with your supervisors. Like, hey, this guy, I asked him to do whatever job, and even this simple task, it's not that it's hard for them, but they just don't care to do the work. So, we're at a point right now where they don't want to be here. That's a whole lot different than somebody who actually wants to learn and wants to be there, but maybe they're a little nervous, or maybe they're not quite strong enough to lift the big stuff yet, and things like that. That all can be taught. So it's important. It's important to see where they're at and be honest about it. Basically, like, you got to keep looking ahead. You're not looking to steal somebody else's job, and nobody's going to be stealing your job. That's the point. The point of all this is, hey, we got to teach everybody how to do this to make our own jobs easier. Just like if I know what my project manager's job is, well, guess what? I can make his job easier. And if his job is easier, he can do way more work, right? And that frees him up for the important stuff. And maybe things are more organized then for me, because he's doing his job even better. And maybe he's looking at the next step for him, and making that person's life easier and learning those skills. And things just get better and better. And that's part of company culture, and that's part of your job in the trades. But we get hooked up on, oh, well, I want job security, and I want this, and I want that, or I want to do the least amount possible and still get paid. That's a bunch of BS, and we can't think like that. You actually have to do some of the stuff that above and beyond what you normally would, if you want to do a better job, and you want to teach the next generation, right? So yeah, get it in your head. It's your responsibility. Teach the new guys. It's your responsibility to look ahead, be a good leader, and keep at it. All right, Delta out.